financial planner. Follow us on YouTube.
Levi Illis of Cryptocurrency Edutainment. And he's got a great YouTube channel that you can check out. It's booming right now. He talks about cryptocurrency. I don't think it's any shock as to why his cryptocurrency channel is booming. He's hitting on some amazing topics. He's got some excellent guests. And we're just going to get to know him today and get an update on what is going on in the cryptocurrency environment at the moment. Levi Illis of Cryptocurrency Edutainment.
Hey, Kenneth, thank you very much for the invite. I feel honored to be on your show.
Well, you know what? I wanted my viewers and my listeners to get to know you, so it's pretty cool to have you on. You're fairly new onto the scene, but man, you're hitting the ground running here, and I'd like for everyone to get to know you. I was watching your featured video on your YouTube channel, and it does look like you're a car enthusiast. So that's pretty cool. So if you would tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Levi Illis. I'm 35 years old. I live in the Netherlands, and I been a digital marketing consultant since 2005, running my own business in the digital marketing space since 2009. And I have been always looking for, let's say, investment opportunities. I have been doing some stocks starting in 2010, also not so long ago. Then also went into some precious metals. And then also due to the fact that my business capital was rising, I was looking for other stuff. And the stocks weren't doing so well, to be honest. And then some guys told me I needed to get into cryptocurrencies. Well, Bitcoin back then, of course. And it was a little bit unfamiliar for me. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it. And then I'm always listening to, let's say, financial news on the radio. So we have a Dutch National Financial News station on the radio. And I guess it was 2013 when it caught my attention while driving to work. Back then I was working for Johnson & Johnson. The big pharmaceutical company, and I heard that Bitcoin had risen to $1,000 plus. And I was like, whoa, what the hell is this? But then also a little bit later it crashed, and they were saying that, this is a currency that's being used on the dark web, and it's being used for criminal activity. So I didn't pay much attention to it at all. And then all of a sudden back last year, that was the period that the same people were saying, like, hey, are you still not into Bitcoin? And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to dive into it. And whenever I invest in stuff, I always say I'm a hobby investor, but I don't know, that's a relative, how do you say it, terminology, of course, a hobby investor. So relatively speaking, I'm investing with six-figure numbers. So I was like, okay, if I want to get into this space, I really get to know all the ins and outs, because relatively speaking, for me, a six-figure number is a large number. So I need to consider it very well to get in. So I did some investigation for a year long, played a little bit around. I saw these insane fluctuations and volatilities. So I was like, But then I got more and more into the topics, also discovered other coins, privacy coins. And then beginning of this year, only I really start investing like 30% of my portfolio into cryptocurrencies. So that's how it all started. And now in March, I was like, I was always looking like to channels, and all those channels were pretty serious. And, although I have some serious positions here and there, whenever I'm hired for the consultancy assignment, I'm not that serious in real life. So I was like, there is not a channel that brings it easy to digest in an educational way, but also in a little bit of an entertaining way to keep people engaged to the content, because it's pretty difficult stuff to digest. So if I need to tell this to my mom, my friends, or colleagues, and all that, it needs to be very tangible for them. So that's why I started my channel, and just to have fun, and because I really believe in this, and that this is something to stay for the future. So I was like, okay, there isn't a channel that is bringing it in the way I am doing, and that's the way I am. So let's do it the way I am. And now I'm here, and I just started from March, and it went very quick afterwards.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing how in less than a year, I mean, you really are a veteran. And, I've said this time and time again, a one day feels like a week feels like a month, and a month is like a year in the cryptocurrency space. And just with so much that happens in such a short period of time, the moves and the news, everything is just happening, so fast, and so much goes on. It's amazing to think that we're only in the ninth month of the year, but Bitcoin started off in the triple, or close to triple digits. It was in February. I know it was in triple digits at the beginning of the year, and then it just continued to take off. So unbelievable what is going on. And I forget about all the people who are just learning about it. They hear the news on Jamie Dimon, and they think Bitcoin is dead, and then I realize they're just learning about it right now. They weren't around a month ago. They weren't around 2 months ago. They are just learning about it right now. And it's just so much going on. But okay, look, we all know that Bitcoin will go up, and we'll have retracements, corrections, whatever you call it. We've seen the precious metals market go through a long bear market from its high back in 2011. Bitcoin had a big correction in 2013 after the big run up, and didn't really start going back up until it bottomed out in 2015 or so. And so let's talk about that. Where are we right now, and are we at risk of going into a bear market with cryptocurrencies right now? Even today we're seeing a lot of volatility in the crypto market.
So of course, I mean, nothing goes up in a straight line. Also for the cryptocurrencies, of course. We have seen it in 2013, as you said, until 2015. And now, with all the thought that is being spread in China, with them closing off the exchanges, even some thought that is going on that mining is going to be, banned. What needs to be confirmed? I'm not pretty sure that is going to happen. Actually, if they already have such a large market share, why would they even consider that? And they have such a dominant position in Bitcoin. But I mean, there are some bearish signs at this point of time, and why wouldn't it go back down? But then again, if you look at it from a longer term perspective, that is just the way cycles go, right? If you look at asset classes, for instance, then there is always a regular trend of approximately 10 years when something goes in an upwards or a downward trends, and we are nearing that 10 years, right, with Bitcoin as well. So I think that could happen, but I'm not afraid, to be honest, on the longer term. Also because of the blockchain technology and the opportunities that are below it, of course. I think it's just a pullback right now, and you see it also now. The volume, China has been very dominant. Now the volume was moving towards Japan last week, but now Korea is being the dominant person. The thing with blockchain is you need to shut down the internet. I guess a lot of people have already said this in your show, probably, but you really need to shut down the internet to really clamp it down. That's the only way to stop Bitcoin. And one thing is a fact. I mean, why would the banks attack Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency markets, which is just a small market of 137 or lower now, 128 or something at this point of time, I don't know, 128 billion. Well, that is just a tiny piece if you compare it to the stock market, to the precious metals market. It's just I don't know. They are afraid. Why would they attack it like this? It doesn't make sense to attack such a small market. But also they know that it is here to stay. A lot of central banks are now giving regulations on it, and there is one central bank that understands the story, and that's the Central Bank of Finland. The Central Bank of Finland has released a report indicating that Bitcoin cannot be regulated, and that's a fact. And if this internet gets shut down, then maybe a satellite in space will run the blockchain. You never know.
Wow. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Levi. It's one of those things. I know there's trillions of dollars of pent-up demand waiting to enter the cryptocurrency space, and it still can't.
Yeah.
And because of 2016, because of 2017, we have proven to, I think, the big money, the hedge funds, the institutions, that cryptocurrency is a viable technology. And that's where I feel like the next leg up for all of these cryptos, or at least the best ones, are. And that is the big money entering the space, and that will take it into the trillions of dollars, you know, when it comes to market caps and the size of the markets. And I think that is certainly going to come as far as a general macro goes. So so despite the bear market, despite the profit taking, lots of upside, in my opinion, still to be had on this scene.
Just to add to that, sorry to interrupt, Ken, but if you look at where the money is in the world today, right? All money in the world today is what? Around 83 trillion. Stock market is like, what is it, 60 trillion? The gold market is like, what is it, 8 trillion, right? Only if 0.1% of all these markets go into cryptocurrencies, then where are we heading? What I always say is, like, Kenneth, how many people do you know in your environment? Just the people that you know, where you know enough from. So let's say your family, friends, and colleagues. How many people do you know? Like 100, where you know enough details from, or maybe more?
Sure. Yeah.
And not people from the internet, huh? Just real.
Yeah. Probably, I would. At my wedding, we had 170 people there.
Exactly. So those 170 people you know enough from. So how many of them own Bitcoin?
Well, not like one or two of them out of that group.
Okay. If you look at it and put that in perspective, percentage-wise, how much is that?
Yeah, less than 1%.
It's small. It's less. Exactly. It's a fairly small number. So if you look at the innovation adoption curve, right? Are you familiar with that? So you have the 2.5%, which are the innovators, the 13.5%, which are the early adopters, the 34%, which are the early majority, the 34% that is the late majority, and the 60% that are the laggards, right? So we are still, I think, if we take your use case as an example, then we are still in the innovator stage. So still the early adopters and the early majority need to come, which is still like 34% plus 13.5% of people that need to come in. It's no doubt that it's going to rise.
Wow. Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that, and it's just the numbers, the opportunity in it is so amazing. And you have Bitcoin, which is obviously limited, 21 million, not enough for every millionaire in the world to have one Bitcoin. So those are some impressive numbers, and you put it so clearly for us all here, and that's pretty cool. Okay, one of the things you talked about in one of your recent videos is Ripple. And, I haven't had an opportunity to talk to anybody on Crush the Street about Ripple. So I know there's a lot of skeptics out there, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on Ripple. I know that Ripple helps the banks, and it sort of goes against the cryptocurrency etiquette. Having said that, talk to us about Ripple.
Yeah, so okay, in the end, banks are still here, and they are going to be here for a while. And of course, the people in the cryptocurrency space have the ideology to get rid of the banks. But yeah, I mean, in the meanwhile, they are still there, and I'm here to make money. In the end, I'm here. You have an investment channel with people that are in precious metals. I'm also here to make money, and I see that Ripple is one of the businesses right there that really, in this space, have a solid business. Huh? They have more than 50 of the major banks included, and the use case is very well. If you look at the use case of Ripple for the banking sector, if you do an international transaction, so normally you go from, let's say, if I want to send a payment to you, then it goes via the SWIFT system, right? So I do a transaction from my local bank. It goes to my local bank to the national bank. Then it goes to a, how do you say it, exchange type of, how do you say it, store? I don't know the English word. But there need to be liquidity of the bank. Then it goes overseas to the other, let's say, broker, let's say. Then there needs to be liquidity from your bank, and then it goes to the national bank of your bank, or let's say the mother firm of that bank, and then it goes to the local bank and to your bank account. So there are a lot of steps for a transaction to be done, and it will take 3 to 5 days. Now with Ripple has the speed of, let's say, Visa whenever it comes to transactions. The banks can save up to 30% only using that without all those middlemen in between. And if they are using the XRP token, they are even able to reduce their transaction costs with 60%. If they are already working with the top 50 banks, and also working with the Central Bank of Indonesia, Central Bank of England with a proof of concept, a Central Bank of India, yeah, there is just business there, and there's still money to gain.
Sure.
I bought it at 0.6 cents, and I bought some more at at 13 cents. I bought some more. I think Ripple still has the potential to go up. I expect it will go up to $2, or a significant financial collapse should come. And that will change the story, of course. But I think that on the midterm, Ripple still has potential.
Yeah, that's interesting what you said right there. If we see a major financial problem, that actually could be a problem for Ripple. But okay, so
and of course there are also indicators that the financial market is ready to pop again.
Sure. Levi, when it comes to Ripple, explain to people exactly what they do. So you mentioned that they're with the banks and they help the banks to transfer funds, but talk to us a little more about understanding what exactly Ripple is doing and what is the business model for the token.
Yeah, so the business model, as I said, is pure for the international transactions, and they are purely focusing on the banking sector. In my opinion, they could easily also run into, let's say, other sectors, because if you are dealing with international transactions, multinationals can also be a target audience for them. So whenever you are using, let's say, the XRP, then you are transferring it not with the current, let's say, currencies and the currency values that there are, but with the XRP token, and that is what will give them an extra reducement in the cost.
All right, Levi. Well, it's interesting stuff when it comes to Ripple, and you know what? It's one of those things where. I mean, if people start using it to a large degree and the banks start using it to a large degree, there might certainly be an investment opportunity there. So let's jump into Litecoin. This one of my previous guests actually pointed something out. Out of the top 10 cryptocurrencies at the moment, only all of them have a history, but only two of them have a clean history. Maybe you agree or disagree with that statement. One of them is Bitcoin, and the other one is Litecoin. I tend to like Litecoin quite a bit. I'm looking at it under $50 at the moment now, so it's definitely pulling back with the rest of the crypto market. So what are your thoughts on Litecoin? We didn't really see, I don't think, the percentage gains that we saw in Ethereum and Dash and some of these other ones with Litecoin over the past year, and it could be argued that there's a lot more upside left to be had in Litecoin because it has lagged in certain ways the other cryptocurrencies. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so it had, of course, had the shot up, the rise up. When was it? A couple of weeks ago, before the, let's say, pullback, the heavy correction. But yeah, some consider Litecoin as the silver to Bitcoin. I don't know. I just see Litecoin as a test network for new features that might be useful for Bitcoin. So that's the way I see Litecoin.
So not a whole lot of upside, in your opinion. It's just, it's kind of whatever.
Sorry, Kenneth. What was the last thing you said?
So it's more of just a test network. So it really doesn't have a lot of speculative value. Then that's what I'm hearing.
That's what I am. That's my sentiment about Litecoin. I mean, it already hit it, let's say, the $40 range earlier, and of course it has not been pumped like the rest. But no, I do have Litecoin, of course. I do have it in my portfolio. It's not like a large chunk of my portfolio, but I don't know. Yeah, for me it's pure a test net. If you also saw it with segregated witness, and now what they are doing with atomic swaps. So for your audience, basically you can now do, let's say, a conversion of a Litecoin to, for instance, to Decred on chain. So you do not need to have any exchange in the middle. So for these types of features, if we see it working fine on Litecoin, then I think it's beneficial for Bitcoin.
Yeah, that is cool, because as it continues to be a test net, and as it continues to prove itself as a viable test net, it might continue to grow because of that. So it is a test net, and I think that's why we've seen such a big move. Obviously, Charlie Lee getting more involved in the project has given it a lot of credibility. So it's so hard to know exactly what's going to happen and what the use cases are going to be. But and I don't know. I guess because it was my first cryptocurrency that I ever bought a few years ago.
You are emotionally attached to it.
I'm emotionally attached to Litecoin. I don't know. Maybe that's my problem here, though. But if I was to be honest, though, I'm much more heavily invested in Bitcoin. That's my savings when it comes to cryptocurrency. I feel like it'll be the least volatile and the most predictable for the future, even though there's a lot of speculative opportunity I believe is coming with Bitcoin. Well, Levi, if you would, please give us some just general thoughts in terms of where you see the market, investment advice. I guess you can't give investment advice, but just your own personal, what you are doing personally that people might be interested in hearing.
Yeah, so I am really looking at things that really solve a problem in the real world whenever I invest in coins. And for instance, land and property registration, right? So this is something that is pretty good recorded here in the Western world. But as I said, blockchain has characteristics like it's the trust disruptor. We do not need any notaries anymore in the future. We do not need any auditing businesses anymore in the future whenever everything is recorded on the blockchain. So why would we still have a Deloitte or a PwC I mean, those businesses really feel the how do you say it? The challenge coming from the blockchain, and we are cutting out middlemen. So these are the most important features. So getting back to the land and property registration. So here in the Western world, everything is okay. Everything is well registered. But if you look at, you know, less developed countries, it can be that someone just has a paper and it's written in the 1700s that he owned this land. His house get burned and it's gone. You know. So for this type of registration, I think it's a good thing. But if you also look at it from a certification perspective, I love to collect luxurious watches, and I can tell anybody that this is a real watch because I have the certification. But you can also fraud with that paper certification. Having it on the blockchain is a fact, right? So also there is a particular use case I see, and there are some technologies that are doing these kind of use cases already in real life, which is NEM, for instance, and they have Landsteed and Luxtag for the luxury goods certification, for instance. But also, if you also look at it from a digital marketing perspective, I have a digital marketing background. There is a lot of fraud going on whenever it comes to showing impressions and having clicks that are, let's say, cutting out the cost for the customers. So that also is now being challenged by projects like edX, for instance. So they are using the blockchain to prevent this kind of fraud, just to make it a little bit tangible for you. So there's around 3 to 5 million that is being fraud by just bots that are refreshing YouTube videos or just clicking on advertisements. But also look at it from a shared economy perspective. So we are moving to an economy that we can, that I can sell some of my things directly to you. So why would parties like Facebook and Google, let's say, benefit from all the personal data that we deliver to them via their networks, and why wouldn't we just benefit from the personal data via the blockchain, right? So these are also, there are different business models that are popping out of the ground right now with blockchain technology. Also, if you look at it from an Internet of Things perspective, if we listen to Gartner and the report that they are bringing out, they are saying that approximately in 2020 there will be 30 to 40 billion devices connected to the Internet of Things. In 2025 there will be 75 billion devices connected to the Internet of Things, and per 2030 there will be around 1 trillion devices connected to the Internet of Things, right? So it might sound like future music, but it's actually pretty close. You can have cases that, for instance, your refrigerator sees that the inventory is empty and it sees that you need some butter. Then your refrigerator will automatically do a order at the warehouse of Walmart, I don't know, or Tesco, let's say. And then an electric car will bring it down your house. And your robot will put it back in the refrigerator. And those machines will not interact with us anymore. It will be from machine to machine. So there need to be done micro and nano payments, because it doesn't make sense. If you have a package of butter, how much does a packet of butter cost in the States?
Package of butter? I don't know. I actually don't do my shopping.
Okay,
for that, but I probably I would imagine $3-4. That's why I'm guessing.
Oh, that's expensive. So here it's around, let's say, $1 or something. But if a package of butter costs $1 and your refrigerator need to order it, but the warehouse at Tesco provides a service that they need to pay for that particular transaction to do automatically, because it is a service-based service, then it doesn't make sense that you need to pay like 50-cent transaction costs for it, right?
Sure.
Or 10 cents, because where is your margin then on your butter?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So the use cases are endless, and especially in the Internet of Things, this really sounds futuristic. But at this point of time, there are already technologies like IOTA, for instance, that are having real use cases. They have some students also here in Germany, in Europe, that are working for NXP. I don't know if you know NXP, but it's one of the largest semiconductor companies. They are producing chips, and these two students that run their own company on the side have managed to connect, let's say, cars and have them drive to a station and let the car automatically pay for the gas that's being used.
Wow.
So these things are already happening without any wallets, any real life wallets involved in this.
Wow.
So the future is very close. I mean, and we do not, it's a little bit intangible, but my opinion is that the next 20 years is going to be life changing.
Yeah, we have always talked about the blockchain usurping the banking system, but man, it's gonna enter areas that we haven't even wrapped our minds around. I mean, you're talking about
Exactly.
Price Waterhouse, you're talking about Deloitte,
Yeah.
the auditing and what's going on in the world. And I don't even think we've started to scratch the surface on where we need to be thinking in terms of education and be prepared for what is coming in this new economy. So wow, that is pretty exciting stuff, but also very concerning if you're investing a lot of time in maybe archaic practices that might otherwise just go out of date, and your job and the things that you do might go potentially worthless. So definitely need to stay on top of these trends. Wow, Levi. You've brought a lot of stuff to the table today. a lot of stuff for us to think about.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's also with the internet, right? The first use case with the internet was email. Back then, if you were talking about a website, people would say, "What? What is that? No, that will never work." And now see what Jack Ma, for instance, has created with Alibaba, right?
Wow.
So yeah, it's evolving also in this space. This is the foundation. I really think we are in a new, let's say, industrial revolution. Sorry for my bad English every now and then.
No.
But I really feel that we are in a new revolution, and I really want to be part of this revolution right now, because the first use case then with blockchain was for the banking sector and the currencies, but there is so much more that's going to change. All sectors are going to be, a lot of sectors are going to be impacted, and there is a lot of opportunities for improvement with blockchain.
Wow, Levi. Well, you hit us hard today, and I appreciate you coming on the line with me. Levi Illis of Cryptocurrency Edutainment. And you can find him on YouTube. Levi, thanks for coming on the show with me.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. It was a big honor to be in your show, and thank you very much. Have a good day.
Take care, sir.